Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest of our Voice social media videos around the theme of creativity. Today we're with Hannah. Hi Hannah.
Hello.
Great to see you and thank you for coming on today. Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, I'm Hannah and I am a second year college student currently studying music.
Fantastic. And obviously you're a part of Voice too. When did you get involved in Voice and how do you take part in Voice?
So I'm a singer in the choir at Voice and I think I joined like 3 years ago, I think.
Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you came first on a residential, right?
Yeah, I came by myself as well, which was quite scary, but I made friends quickly. So.
Respect. Yes, we are a friendly bunch. And you have upped the friendliness, I think, in joining. So Hannah, you come on to tell us about your musical creativity. So tell us more about how you enjoy being creative day to day and how your musical creativity feeds into your faith.
So music is like a massive part of my life. So it's pretty much like everything I do. As I said, I study it in college. But within worship, like whenever I'm worshiping God, I find that putting worship music on helps me to feel closer to God and like get rid of other distractions. I really enjoy like songwriting and writing poems as well, as a form of expressing like how I'm feeling. I like writing songs too, and also about God, as a form of worship. And I'm also involved in the worship team at my church and have led worship a few times. I like playing the piano, guitar, and singing when I'm in worship, and worshiping God as a way of meditating and resting in God's presence.
Fantastic. And when you say about meditating and resting in God's presence for your music, what does that look like? Is it a case of just finding some stillness and some quiet and using your music to help you focus on God?
Yeah, it's like whenever I'm just like meditating on God's, like whenever I'm just like in trying to worship God, I just like put worship music on and just try and find like, a quiet space to like close my eyes and like focus on God through that.
Fantastic. So what would your advice be to young people who want to use their music to express worship and spend time in God's presence? What would your advice be to them?
First off, I say there's not really a right or wrong way to express yourself in music to God. You can write God a song, a piece of music, or a poem, or whatever you find your favorite way to express yourself creatively is, because ultimately music, or whatever way you find like your best way to express yourself is, that's a gift from God anyway. So it's just a way of giving that back to God in worship. And if music is a way you like to express yourself to God, and you're struggling to find inspiration where to start, I would definitely recommend turning on some music and finding a quiet space, and just closing your eyes and just focusing on what you think God is trying to say. Because we often that we have like a lot going on in our lives and a lot going on in our mind, and it's just like there's so much like cloud in your head, and it's really easy to just let that like cloud like what you're trying to actually write. So I often find that like putting music on and sitting in God's presence helps me to relax and just unwind and focus on God and what He's saying before I start to create something. I also find that sometimes getting a journal and writing all your thoughts out on a piece of paper can be helpful, if you work that way, because I find looking at your thoughts on a page instead of in your head can spark inspiration for writing songs sometimes.
Amazing, thank you. And what advice would you give to other young people who want to use their musical gifts for God to share their faith?
There's lots of ways you can use your gifts to share your faith, especially on social media, like sharing your own songs online, which I've done a few times, and even like recording covers of worship songs, to share your faith with others. You can also speak to someone about getting involved with the worship band or choir at your church if you haven't already. Something I personally struggled with was comparing myself to others a lot with like the gifts that I had. And I realized that like you might look at someone else and want the gifts they have, but God has blessed you with the gifts that you have, and you can always aspire to improve at them, but He doesn't actually care how it sounds. Even if you're still working on improving like your guitar playing or your singing, God cares more about your heart and your worship. So if you enjoy worshiping God by singing or playing the guitar, like go for it. Like don't compare yourself to other people just because you think their voice or their songwriting or anything is better than yours, because God isn't bothered by that. He doesn't value you more or less for how good you are at something. He just cares about you giving him your all in worship. So don't worry about people judging you as well, because that was something else I struggled with, like being self-conscious of people looking at me. But at the end of the day, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for God, and he isn't bothered by how it sounds.
Fantastic. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today. Thank you so much for your advice and sharing your experience. And thank you too for the songs you've written with and through voice, and for how you've shared your gift with us of songwriting, especially. It's been a huge encouragement to loads of people. So thank you for that, and for your involvement in voice. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. And if you want to keep track of all of our other creativity videos, please keep tabs on our voice social media pages. So thanks, Hannah.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon.